Hello, and welcome to Copper Bulletins. It's an exciting one because we've got a new single to talk about, haven't we, Derek?
We have indeed, yes.
That's what we're going to do. Derek, we got a single. Finally, we've got new music.
We got
We've got
new music finally,
We've got
yes.
something new to talk about.
Indeed, we have. And it's a lot to talk about.
Yeah. I mean, there was a massive sort of launch, a lot of launch activity around the single, which was difficult for me to keep up with. Um,
Yes, there was.
I mean, first off, let's talk about the song because it's really good.
It is an absolute belter.
I know
It is.
Yeah. I know we talked about this a lot in sort of our speculation about the album. The biggest thing initially that stands out is, as we expected, the production quality is such a notch above Queen of the Murder Scene, which was still great. But you can tell that there's more money and more time gone into this.
Yeah, that's the thing. You can definitely see the difference of having somebody like David Bendeth behind it. It is just the production's phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean, the other albums sound bad by any stretch of the imagination, but it's that almost indefinable quality. You can just tell there's an extra layer of sort of polish and finesse over the top that really makes it feel like a big budget thing.
It does. It does make it feel like it's a big budget thing, and I think it's absolutely brilliant. I dare say there's going to be some people that don't like that, but their loss.
I've heard one or two comments of people saying it sounds too mainstream or sounds too commercial.
Yes.
I don't believe this song itself does. I think what they're picking up on is that extra layer, the polished nature of the production.
Yeah, it's the extra layer of polished production. But no, I think it's absolutely wonderful.
Yeah, I think that's what really makes it different.
Oh, it does. It's and there's nothing wrong with what they've done before, but this is just taking it up several levels, I think, really.
No, absolutely, it really has done.
And it's and as far as I'm concerned, it's fantastic.
No, I mean, and the song itself, I'm loving. The lyrics, great. And the riff, I love the riff, and some really nice touches in there. There's one little bit fairly near the beginning where Ali does like a little walking bass line, and I was trying to figure out what it reminded me of for ages, and eventually I realized, and it's a little bit like that little bass run in Born to Be Wild, just after the intro.
Yeah.
And it was doing my head for ages, trying to figure out what that was.
Yeah, it's like that. Yeah.
It's just like cool, that, actually. That little bit of that bit. It's not quite the same, but it's a similar kind of vibe.
It's a similar vibe, yeah.
It's like what I'm not going to do. I'm not going to play any of the song on here because I've noticed it seems to. There's a chance it might get copyright struck, and it's getting blocked occasionally on actions, which is fair enough. It's a new song, and but I think plenty of other people have got it. You can go watch it. You can go listen to it. I love it's almost like the second verse where they've kind of done it differently. They kind of strip it back, and the bass line sort of is a really sort of bouncy sort of, where it rolls around. And I love the groove on that is insane. It's brilliant.
Oh yeah, it's a cracking groove on that. Yeah, it really is very good, very enjoyable.
Of course, the drums, fantastic. We finally found out, didn't we, that bit that we'd heard the sneak peek doesn't actually go with the sneak peeks that Ali and Danny released at all. It's a completely different part of the song. which I
Yeah.
think Pow did on purpose.
Yes, and they got great delight of the One Army trying to stitch them together
Yeah.
and trying to figure out if they followed on or where they went or
Yeah.
uh,
We've been an endless source of amusement on that.
yeah, I think we have been an endless source of amusement for them.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of the release as well. I mean, obviously, we're on Patreon. Did you kickstart the album? Were
I
you on the
did,
Kickstarter? Yeah.
yes.
So we got the single quite early, didn't we? As
We
a
did,
little,
yeah.
there was like, did we get it on the Tuesday? It was almost a
Yeah,
week
we got
before,
it.
wasn't it?
Yeah.
So we got that. Then we were, and we got a sneaky peek of the video early as
Of the
well.
video, yeah.
Well, certain Patreon tiers did, which again was very exciting. We'll talk about the video in a bit. But there was the pre-release sort of live stream, which was
Yes,
at 4:30 in the morning UK time.
it was indeed.
I
Did it?
set 6 alarms so I could catch that.
Yeah, I made sure that I was catching that.
But oh yeah. But also at the same time, it pretty much wiped me out for the rest of the day because it meant my brain was frazzled. So there was a little live chat before the release of the video on Friday,
Yes.
which I completely forgot about because I had no idea what time it was by that point. But I know Isaiah had a call in with them, didn't he?
Yeah, Isaiah had a call in with
He
them.
wasn't. I hope he wasn't flying a plane at the time.
No, I think he was flying as a passenger,
That's not too
not as
bad then.
work. Um, yeah.
Don't know how you swing that as an excuse.
And oh, a couple of the One Army fan server had questions answered.
Oh, that's cool. Like
Well,
I say,
Jose was
all right.
actually
Well,
there
he was at the live stream they did from the
from
record store, wasn't with
the
Matt
record
Pinfield?
store. Yeah,
Yeah. Again,
yeah. And he got a question answered, and Josh got a question answered as well,
yes,
which
he
was
did from Australia. I
from Australia. Yeah, which is it's
again,
nice that people that you know are getting and you talk to are getting
yeah,
questions
it's
answered.
cool. I did again. I missed that live stream because I woke myself up at stupid o'clock for the other one. I was like, I'm just too tired. I needed to go to sleep. Sorry,
Yeah.
guys, I couldn't do it. Knackered. But yeah, the video is amazing.
The video is just mind blowing.
Oh,
It is a fantastic video.
great, isn't it? And we figured there would be one because obviously the band are going to want to be promoting this as much as possible, and you need a video if you want to showcase it on any sort of visual media, like a TV show or
Media,
something.
yeah.
And the band can't be everywhere, so that's why you need a video.
That's it. Yeah, they can at least show a video.
But I really like this fairly simple, but very striking set design with that sort of box of light.
But yes, and I don't know, it just makes it look,
It makes them look
I
really
don't say
legit, doesn't
fancy,
it?
but yeah, I mean, it just there's just something about it. It's very striking, as you
Yeah.
said, and very sort of stylish. And
And
of course,
they only recorded that in a day, didn't they? Hammered that out in a day, which is really
yeah,
good.
yeah, and of course they're all sort of dressed in
Yeah.
black as well, and you've got that shiny black box that they're in, and then
Yeah.
it just pops with all the light, and it's
One thing that
it
as
is just
well,
great.
with it, I mean, it looks like it was. I saw Rudy and Luis were executive producers on the video. Makes a lot of sense, but I think keeping that very, very close to home meant they could put that together really, really quickly. Watch the
Yes.
video, know the song so well that you bring in an external director, whereas you've got people who know it, so they know exactly which bits to catch. So, like, like Powell's roll across the toms and stuff like that. That little bass run of Ali's that I pointed out, she showcased
Yeah.
during that bit. That wouldn't happen,
Yeah.
or there'll be a much longer process if you brought someone external in who was new to it all.
Yes. Aye.
But yeah, they set that off really nicely. A lot of comments about the smirks in the video. Like there's one from Danny straight from the outset, which is just like, right, this is going to be fun. You can tell, and Ali obviously gives us a few during it as well. But it
Yeah.
looks like they had a lot of fun filming it.
Oh yeah. Yes. I think they definitely did. Um, which is great as well. Because if they're having fun, then it's it's not what am I trying to say?
I have no idea.
If
Yeah,
if
I can barely understand the word you say, to be honest. But
that's true.
you know,
I think what I'm trying to say is, if they're relaxed and having fun and enjoying it, then
yeah, you're going to get a good natural performance on the video.
they'll performance on the video, and then that's going to make whoever's watching it relax and enjoy it
Yeah,
because
I definitely
you
think that sort of that their natural energy and their
yeah,
personalities come through on that video, because you've got to remember
no,
this will be a lot of people's introduction to this band.
exactly. That's it. People that haven't heard of them before now and have only just joined, fallen down the rabbit hole.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, and I mean that is a great first introduction.
yeah. Like I say, they look the part and then some. Although I
Yeah,
will admit, when I first saw Pow's outfit, I did think she looked a little bit like Black Panther, but then I realised it was safety pins. But yeah, they look great. I like the big
yeah,
the lightning bolt on the drum kit instead of the
on the
band
jump.
name. I thought
Yeah,
that was cool.
yeah, that was a nice touch as well.
One thing that did interest me, and I was intrigued about, is that Danny was playing the PRS in the video and not the spearfish.
Yes,
I guess for me, and probably for you as well, we're just so ingrained in seeing that in her hand. You kind of that's what you associate with her.
exactly. It's yeah, spearfish is, uh, and then of course as well because of COVID and what have you, that there's not really been anything new,
No,
and when there has been anything, it's been the spearfish she's had.
yeah, I do. I mean,
Um,
those spearfishes are amazing guitars, but I part of me wonders, is the PRS thing, is that maybe with a view to the bigger touring picture? Because those spearfishes are what, 10 grand guitars. PRS 1 or 2 grand. They're still not cheap, but they're a lot cheaper, and maybe they're a more sensible option to take on a tour.
well, that's it. I mean, especially if you're flying around and you can't exactly take it on the plane and keep it
No,
with you. Um, it's quite a an item to
yeah,
entrust to airline baggage.
definitely, yeah. That's another big
You
part of it. I did
it's
wonder when they came into the picture, is this like something a bit more practical for life on the road than the
yeah.
spearfishes, which are amazing instruments, but yeah, they're not cheap, and God forbid anything should
No,
happen
they're
to one
not.
of them.
I mean, it's not like where there maybe been just driving to other parts of Mexico
Yeah,
for gigs or
exactly.
whatever, what have you. Um, yeah, it's. I mean, maybe that.
Yeah, I did also.
It would certainly.
Yeah, I did
Yeah,
also
the
notice in the video as well that Ali had brought back the trousers that she wore for the Mercury show.
show. Yes,
I thought that was nice, nice little touch. I don't know if that was on purpose, but it was nice to put that back to the show that got them the record deal.
that's right. Yeah, it was the Mercury trousers.
That was really cool.
Yeah.
Nice. That was a nice little throwback. And I couldn't resist myself my little meme from the song. It just sort of came into
How
my
are
head, and
you?
once it was
I am
there,
under
it
the
wouldn't go
water.
away as an idea.
Please help
I
me.
wouldn't go
I'll do
away.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you'll do it. Perfect. Yes. And
couldn't resist.
we got another little surprise as well.
The live
That
performance, was that what you're talking about, or was it
yes,
something else? Yes, great.
that and the fact that Ali's signature Spectre
Oh
bass
yes, I completely forgot about that.
is now about to go on sale.
Yes, yes, I completely forgot, because obviously we saw that there was a photo shoot with one a while ago, which was a gold model.
Yes.
But it looks like they've obviously gone back and rethought it, and now it looks like sort of a junior version of her full on 5 string, which makes a lot of
Yes.
sense.
Sense. It does. It does. And she was showing that off in the live performance.
Didn't it look tiny?
It did look tiny.
Which is, yeah, when you think back to like when she was the same size as a bass, she's holding this thing
I
up, and
know.
it looked like she was holding a violin.
Oh, it was. Yeah, I was thinking that's like it looks. And then Danny went and picked it up, and you're like,
Yeah.
oh no, it's okay.
And that will say, I don't reckon that will be that expensive.
It's going to retail for $799.
That feels about right, because Spectres aren't cheap. So even an entry, yeah, Spectre I don't think they have like a budget line. So even a cheap Spectre is going to be relatively expensive. But
Yeah,
it makes sense that if they're going to do a signature instrument for Ali, then you've kind of got two markets. You've got existing Warning fans who want something that's associated with the band, and you've
yeah.
got younger, more new players or early intermediate players who have been inspired to play or keep playing by the band, in particular Ali, if it's a bass. So you'd expect these are going to be younger. A lot of these will be like her peers, around her age group. So they're not going to be the richest people in the world necessarily. You don't want to price them out of the market by doing a higher end Spectre. I think if you did a $2,000 one, really your market is the 1,500 people or so people on Patreon.
Yeah.
And what I didn't expect from the live performance was the little bit in the bridge, the drowns in the bridge, and Ali sang them.
Yes.
And I don't think
That
it was
was
there on the recording, or at least it didn't sound like it to me.
now to me it sounded just like Danny
Yeah, I
doing
thought it
them
did on
on
the
the
recording.
recording. Which of course it might be one of these little done for the recording and
Yeah, sometimes you feel, I don't know, let's change things up for the live performances, rearrange things a little bit, spread the load out.
sorry, I just had your cat in the
Yeah,
background.
that's fine.
Um, yeah, I done for the recording, but change it for the live performances, which is always nice to get these little
Yeah, And it's always nice to hear Ali sing, even though we know she doesn't really like it.
I know exactly, exactly. It's um, I think as well. It's nice to have. I mean, I know a lot of people talk about producing a record that you can, when you do a recording that you can emulate it live type of thing,
Nah,
which
I don't believe in that one myself.
it's, fair enough, but it's nice to have an album version of a song and the live version of the song.
I think I,
That's
I think it's fair enough for bands to approach the studio and live as completely separate environments because you can do all sorts of stuff in the studio. You can experiment and do all sorts of weird stuff. That's what the Beatles did. That's what Queen did. You know,
exactly, yeah.
but yeah, quite live different. I feel like I look very ethereal at the moment because it's like we're hitting gold now. I look like I'm either about to ascend to the heavens or offer you a side quest. I can't really do a lot about it because I've got like a skylight over there. So yeah, don't worry. I am not I've not come down from the heavens
Choke.
to sing.
Choke
I'm
has
not.
dropped and Mark is now going to
Yeah.
ascend.
And another thing that I've really enjoyed seeing, and it just shows sort of what can happen once you've created a buzz, is all the additional reactors, all the reactors, and also I've been looking to see look for musical like journo stuff because they will have put out a press release about this to all the publications and websites. So it's really cool to see a big single hit of PR. So single, video, website articles,
Balls.
musical publications, reactor videos, just adding to, I guess you call it like the PR footprint that the single makes.
Yes, yeah, and yeah, that's it. I mean, they've all made sure that it's got put out to as many music journalists and things as possible, and of course, the YouTube reactors that have had an interest already are looking for something new to
Yeah. And yeah, well, again,
react
for
to.
for them, they've only ever had older stuff they've never had a new song to react to. So that must be quite
Exactly.
exciting.
Yeah,
But
that's it, and it's yeah, a song that no one, well,
well, we
apart from
did it.
those that got,
Yeah.
I mean, a song that wasn't in the general
No.
domain as well. That they're sort of late to the party to react to
Yeah.
or whatever. Um,
And
or
I'm
it's like,
re-
oh well, I've heard stuff off this album, but I've not heard that particular
no.
track, so kind of have an idea of what it might sound like. But obviously, with this, it's
Yeah. Completely new. And
completely new.
I love the fact that there's. I'm all up here for the more. I guess you call it a more mature and more polished sound. I'm all for
Yeah, I
that.
think exactly. And I mean, I think with any band that there's always going to be a progression.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh yeah, and especially with a band that's so young.
you can't. There's only so far you can get by making a certain sound and repeating that sound ad infinitum.
Right now, AC/DC are
Um,
feeling incredibly attacked. But yeah,
it,
bands do evolve, and yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. You should
you
you
know,
should want the band to evolve.
well, that's it. And I mean, and like you say, they are still a very young band, and they've got, we all hope, many many
Yeah,
years ahead of them, and moving on to great successes,
yeah.
hopefully.
I mean, I'm
Um,
very excited, obviously, to hear the rest of the album now. Now we know, because obviously the production on show gives you an idea of where we're going to be and the complexity of the sound. Lots of layers
the
in that.
sound exactly for the rest of the album, and that is going to be great when we finally get to hear it and listen to it.
Hopefully not
Yeah,
too
it'll
far
be
off now.
hopefully not.
And I'm excited to see sort of over the next few weeks or so, see how the PR sort of campaign rolls along. So
Rolls along, yes, I'm interested in that as well.
hoping for some media appearances and sort of see how the song maybe performs in, I guess, the download and streaming charts and stuff like that. Okay, so the other week, Derek, you and I had a chat about mental health.
We did indeed, yes.
We've done this. You were obviously not we because not you weren't there, but we do have a second part of that, which is a chat with Mikey, which is going out, which we're going to drop in after this. If that's not your kind of thing, obviously, we won't be offended if you want to skip past it. But if you wanna have a listen to that, we'd really appreciate it. But I thought we'd better say something, otherwise it's going to look really weird when Derek disappears and turns into Mikey.
That's right, I
without
suddenly become Mikey.
with no explanation whatsoever.
I
So we
mean,
did
there's
that.
probably a lot of folk think I'm called Mikey, but never mind.
No, and we did that a couple of weeks ago, so it's a little bit disjointed. But again, it was one of those where we felt it was an important conversation to have. Normal service, I think, will be resumed moving forward. Though.
Yes, it was definitely an important conversation to have. But yes, hopefully, now that we've got new music, that will help a lot of people.
New music makes the world go round.
It does.
But yeah, so if you want to stick around for that bit, fantastic. But if not, feel free to just skip to the outro and then go listen to Joke. So, Mikey, welcome back. We missed you. Where have you been?
Thank you. I was told there was no intro to this freaking part 2, and now there's a mini intro.
Mini intro, but it's because this is being spliced with another bit, so it's a bit weird. But I know because this you wanted to go up on some of the stuff we talked about with Derek last week, or the other week on the last podcast with the mental health, and sort of box that off really as a little chat. But I figured you've maybe got a bit more, certainly probably in terms of being able to relate to maybe the band directly, because obviously your age group and some of the I guess some
literally
of the
being born like almost directly between Danny and Pal.
Yeah.
Like Danny's what 2000, Pal's 02, I'm 01.
Yeah.
Also, if you want to look at it this way, Ali's December, Danny is January, Pal's February, your boy's March. So conspiracy theorists will say I'm a Villarreal brother, but that's a lie.
I don't think that's true.
No.
But yeah, I was thinking along the lines of maybe you probably got more of an insight into the kind of I guess
teenage angst.
Yeah. Yeah, what do you kids
I didn't
deal
have
with
a
nowadays?
punk movement. I didn't have a punk movement to get my steam out, but I think mental health affects everyone of all age groups, obviously, but I think it affects different age groups differently. What a 47-year-old dude stresses about is different than what a 21-year-old girl stresses about, And the original idea behind the podcast was not the podcast, but the mental health specifically podcast was just, everyone can relate to it. Most of, if not all of our viewers are Warning fans. If you're not, then I don't know what you've been listening to.
Don't know what the hell you're doing here.
However, nothing has been enjoyable if you're not a Warning fan.
No.
But on top of that, it's just, everyone can relate to mental health. So, I just decided, let's talk about it. No one talks about it enough. Everyone's like, everyone supports mental health, or not everyone, can't generalize. Everyone should. But, not everyone talks about it because not everyone's open about their personal struggles and, You don't have to be. You don't have to be open about it to relate to it.
But actually, I think
Um,
that's one of the maybe one of the big generational differences. Certainly, I was growing up. Literally, you just didn't talk about this stuff at all. It was barely acknowledged that it existed. Just didn't get talked about. I think your generation are a lot better at talking about this kind of stuff and accepting it and trying to deal with it.
I agree. I agree to an extent of like, yeah, it's much more of an open thing where it's acknowledged. But I think an issue is obviously you can it's hard to follow your own advice sometimes because like if I'm
Completely.
talking to someone and they're like, oh, I feel disgusting, I'm ugly, I'm this, I'm that. I'm someone who's like, oh no, you're not, you're not ugly, you're not this, you're, whatnot. I try to uplift people. But it'll apply advice to yourself because you're always gonna be 5 times more critical on
Yeah.
yourself.
I think
Any
that's where it's
what
always important to talk to people.
Yeah, what I learned, not learned, I'm still learning, but what I've come to understand is um if you look at yourself and, you always imagine what other people think about you. That's a big part of anxiety. Like if there's someone that you kind of like, like, oh, they're gonna reject me, they're this, no, they're not gonna like me. Or if there's somebody you want to be friends with, or even just a stranger, you have all these anxieties like, oh, what do they think of me? What do they see me as? What do they think of me as a person? Most of those people are probably thinking the same thing about you. You just don't feel like it because you don't value yourself as highly as some other people do. You know, anyone who praises themselves is seen as like narcissistic, being in love with themselves. But anyone who doesn't love themselves are told, love yourself. So, you have to find a balance. And, it's hard to find a balance in a lot of things in life. And, you just got to basically just do your best and, you know, learn self care without being too in love with yourself.
Yeah. Well, there's a whole Dunning Kruger effect, isn't there, where the better people are at something, the less confident they are in their ability to do it.
To an
Whereas some
extent,
people,
yeah.
yeah, and whereas a lot of time people who aren't maybe great at something can have inflated confidence as to how good they are.
Yes.
I read a Wikipedia
Um,
article on it.
I'm glad you did your research before
Oh yes,
this. Um,
I think
but
for me, in my age, and say Derek as well, we're pretty much more or less at a at a point in our lives where, at the very least, we kind of know who we are, or we know what's no. We've gone enough far enough in life that we know sort of what's happening in certain places, and
it's hard to be 47 and not know what you're meant to be
yeah,
yet.
exactly. Whereas, but obviously, at your kind of age, there's so much pressure on on yourself, and also from external factors on who you're supposed to be, and maybe making choices that you feel are literally going to affect you for the rest of your life, and which as I say, at my age, you've done all that. It's gone. There's not so much of that going on,
Yeah,
really.
it's like what I said earlier. It's like everyone of all age ranges go through mental health. It's just different factors. You're no
Yeah,
longer worried about college. You've been done with college for 20 something years. Um, for me, and I don't know if people know this, some probably do, but I recently dropped out of college because it just wasn't for me. And it's a risky decision because, like, I don't want to go back and have to retake everything,
no,
but I don't know what I'm going to be doing. You know, everyone's taught at the age of 18, basically, you're going to college, figure out what you want to do. You're 18.
yeah,
You're not going to retire till like 70. So you're basically saying, I have to figure out something in the next 2-ish years, what I want to do for the next 50 years. And, no 18-year-old knows what they want to do for sure. You're still a kid. And, everything like everything looks appealing from the outside. a lot of people go, "Oh, I'm gonna be a doctor and I'm gonna make tons of money." And then you go into and like, "Oh, well, I'm not gonna make money till I'm like 40 or 50 because
Yeah.
how much student loans I'm gonna be paying back." I have all of the stress. If you're a surgeon, that's even more freaking stress. And, it can be miserable. And, nothing prepares you for that. Nothing you do in college will prepare you for when you go and actually do it. I'm a believer in I have a friend who is going to school to be an accountant. This is the end of his second year of college, and he's told me already, I've learned nothing in
Wow.
college. I could have by now gone to an accounting firm and be trained on the job and be an efficient accounting already. But everyone puts so much pressure and so much value on a college degree, and that's
That's
more of a
true.
recent
Still.
thing. That's a recent thing. If you go back 20, 30 years ago, you didn't need a college degree to get a decent job. No, you had to pay
Mm.
your dues, but you never had to work. You never had to go. You never had to have that college degree. Now there's
One thing.
this massive
One.
factor of you have to get it, and it's plugged in your minds. You have to get it, and
But not only that as well, one thing I seem to have noticed, which seems to be a fairly recent sort of thing, is that, like you said, people place a lot of value in degrees, but they want you to have that college degree for your for your entry level job, and they also want you to have like 4 years of experience. So I cannot understand how that works for like young people trying to sort of grow and look for jobs to be told, oh, well, you've got no
I
experience. Well, I was
couldn't
getting
tell
this
you.
degree that you wanted me to have.
I couldn't tell you because when I was in college, I was going for an English major, and you know, I was like, "This is gonna be great. This is gonna." Then And it killed my passion for what I was doing, because I always liked writing. If people don't know, I try to write song lyrics. I try to write stuff just in general. And, it was killing my passion to do anything because, like, I'll take a creative writing class, but they're telling you all these specifics you have to write and all these things you have to, and it's like, that's not creative writing. So I'm being given basically a blueprint
Yeah,
and being told to write a specific thing. That's not creative writing. I'm
and
being
again,
forced to write about something I don't want to. That's
and I
not
think that
creative
happens.
writing.
That's the danger with a lot of things, and things that you enjoy as a hobby or a creative outlet won't necessarily make the best jobs or academic courses. And like you said, there is, if you have to do it, yeah, it becomes a lot less fun than it was. I suppose as well, talking about an expectations, especially on young people, and that obviously does also draw us back to the band as well and the warning with the obviously all the excitement around their new album and single that will be coming out no doubt, and that's a lot of pressure. Handle it very well, obviously. I always
Yeah.
feel I don't know. I mean I think they're a great band. I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't. But I
I
know
wouldn't be here with you if I disagreed
exactly.
with you.
I think they're incredible. At the same time, I know from on a personal level, I'm wary. You don't want to hype people up too much. There's like that expectation can prey on people, even even the best of people. And I think there's
This
a
is gonna
danger of maybe at times. I think we're all guilty of a bit overhyping them a little bit, and I don't mean that I mean like don't are going to be great. I think they are going to be extremely famous and extremely successful. At the same time, they're only young, and I know my personal experience of being young, what it's like to have too much expectation heaped on you, and sometimes it
shout
can
out to
start
the
to get a bit
cat.
overwhelming. I don't know what he's saying about that. Yes, similar, obviously different ballparks, but the same wheelhouse in terms of how you felt in terms of that go to college, the degree,
This is probably
do
gonna
what's
turn into like
expected
a
of you.
this is gonna turn into a very long thing about the band. So I want to start off by saying I'm not speaking on their behalf. I could be
No,
wrong. I don't know what another person's thinking. I can only put myself in their shoes. I can't be
yeah,
them.
I think that's the best way to think.
Um,
How would you feel in that situation?
so I agree with the overhype thing, and I agree. It's like overhype isn't the same as like overrated.
No, not at all.
Overrated is basically saying a band is being told it is a band that's rated so highly when they shouldn't be. That's not what I'm saying they are. Overhype is you are setting expectations at a level. And I'm not just saying like, oh, expectations to your level where, the music may not reach that expectation. That's a completely different thing. Music is subjective. But I'm saying especially with younger people, and I again speak from personal experiences that aren't music related, but more life related. You are setting a bar so high that puts so much increasing pressure on other people at a young age. You know, and I'm not doing this to call anyone out, but like there's an example I'll see is like a nickname thrown around sometimes how is Thunder Goddess.
Yeah, I
And
know it well.
I'm not saying this to say like, oh, Ellie's not amazing. I adore Ellie. She's amazing on bass. She's fantastic. Any ounce of success her and her sisters get fully deserved. But once you apply the term God or goddess to something, you are dehumanizing it. You are taking the human quality out of the person and you are basically putting them on a pedestal that no person in the history of this world has or ever will reach. No one can be a god and no one can be a goddess. Everyone is human. We are all the same. We all have different mental states, we're all different ages with different hobbies, but we're all human.
Yeah,
And
no, I
once
know.
you take the human aspect away from someone, they are no longer relatable and they no longer feel relatable.
Yeah, no, I know
And
exactly what you mean by
it's
that.
and it's a lot of, she's 16. You're not saying this to some adult who's 40 something, who's been through it all, like you said with you and Derek. You're putting this pressure on a 16-year-old child. And, again, I'm not speaking for her. For all I know, Allie loves the nickname Thunder Goddess.
Yeah,
She wants to make merch out of it. And if she does, fine. Fair play to her. She can deal
yeah.
with that pressure.
Okay, Thunder Goddess
And
away.
yeah. And it's like, I'm not here to lecture anyone on how to be or what to do. But once you set that expectation on someone, it's an unreachable expectation.
No, well,
And
no, I
with a
do know
young
exactly what you mean there. Because when
Mhm.
I
And
was,
with a young person, sorry to cut you off, but with like a
that's all
young
right.
person, they don't understand, like fully understand, like that it is unreachable. They're
No,
gonna push and they're gonna go down hard on themselves to try to reach that expectation because they feel like they have to.
yeah,
Same thing with me in college. I felt like I had to do college. I felt like I had to succeed in college because I had to meet an expectation that for me it wasn't a realistic expectation because I wasn't made for college. You know,
yeah. No, well, I mean, when I was very little, I, I got given an IQ test when I was a kid. Apparently, it said I was quite intelligent. Yeah, so who knew?
Sure.
But so this is like from the age of like 4. And I was basically getting told at that age, "Oh yeah, you're really clever. Oh yes, you'll do really well. You'll easily get into Oxford or Cambridge." Like 4. The problem that gave me as a kid, I was constantly getting told how good I was, but because of that, I didn't feel like I needed to try as hard. It's like, well, I don't need to try. With exams and school, it's like I don't really need to do this because you've already told me I'm good. I don't need to prove it. It wasn't a rebellious thing. It was literally constantly saying, "Oh, you're brilliant. Oh, you're so good."
it's how you
Uh,
were raised.
yeah, and ultimately, one thing that did do to me on a long term, when I was little and when I was like a kid growing up through school, I never really quite developed the kind of not even a work ethic, but just like the kind of skills you needed to learn how to study effectively. And with like earlier school years, it wasn't a problem. You breezed through that, but then when it got to the more complicated stuff in university, I just couldn't really operate in that environment because I'd never learned how to effectively study,
You never
take
had
notes.
to.
Yeah. So yeah, that kind of stuff can really set off ripples that affect people for like their entire adult life.
As someone who was similar, I didn't have an IQ test, but it's like everything was easy, like
Yeah,
97 on this, 98s, 99s. It was a breeze. And then obviously, it suddenly becomes no longer a breeze.
no,
And, you know, you're not prepared for that. You were told your entire life you're great, you're amazing, you're perfect. And then what happens when you do something that isn't amazing?
yeah,
you know, then you're just told this isn't good enough. There's no sit down, there is no way to, it's hard to re-educate someone when you're told that you're perfect from ages 4 through 13.
no, you
You're
can't.
told to re-educate, you can't just rewire a child's mind in a
No,
day, and it's I'm not saying go hard on your kid, make them study 7 hours a day. I'm saying they're human. Don't treat them like they are the second coming of like Christ or something.
yeah,
They're a child. But like, don't be too hard. Just let them develop at their own rate.
yeah,
Teach them the skills they need to know and then go on. I saw a thing, and I know there are going to be people who agree and people who disagree. This isn't meant to spark a debate. Someone said, in their opinion, every test at all levels should be open book. And they said it should be because, not textbook, but notes, because it makes you take good notes. It's not a memory test, it's applying the skills you learned. It is no longer a memory test. And they said, that's more applicable for doing jobs, less so, memory test on the stuff. You don't have to force yourself to remember it. You're applying what you're learning. That's what school is supposed to be, in my opinion. And I saw that and I was like, that's teaching more skills than what I learned in school.
yeah.
As
And, you,
someone
and
that went to school, it's memory. I'll learn this, I'll pass the test, and I'll forget all of it. I don't need it.
and if you're an adult doing a job, say you're an engineer and you need to work something out, no one's going to say, right, I need you to do this for me, but I need you to do it in that room on your own with no computer and no reference material. I just need you to remember how to do that. It's like, no, that's not how it
Yeah.
works. You've got
Like
you've got tools.
we talked to Angelica. She's an accountant. She has a
Mm.
calculator. You know, it's like, and I'm not dissing on accountants because I know that's
And she's
twice
an
I've
she is
accountants.
actually an accountant as well. She's not an accountant.
Yes. And I'm not dissing like, oh, her job's easy. It's not. No job to an
No,
extent is easy. But it's like you're applying, that's not a memory test. A memory test isn't gonna make you an accountant.
no. I think
So
I do
that's
think
my
as
stance on
well.
that.
I suppose when we were on the thing, I know we've talked about in the past as well, just in private, which it's not the easiest thing for us to talk about, and not something we got a lot of knowledge of, basically because we're not female. But we can appreciate sort of and have an appreciate that side of things. Just the pressure, because obviously the band they are girls, and I think in modern society there are, and to an extent, I think obviously to men as well, are a lot of pressures because of social media and being so visible all the time. And even if you're not a famous person, a lot of time now there's a
Yeah.
desire to be famous and share a lot of your life and for it to be perfect.
Yeah.
It's not always.
I think it applies to both genders, but I think for female, I think it's different for both genders, but it applies to both genders of
Yeah,
wanting to
there's
be
definitely
so
pressures on
good.
both sides. Men, I think we get away with more because from the physical side of things.
Yeah, like,
I think
if a
the
man,
society's a bit easier on us. There is traditionally there can be an expectation on young women, girls, whatever, to like you said, to behave a certain way. And I think it's something as a society we're moving away from, but it still crops up. and, and it's
It,
like
it
to
will
look at
pop
it.
up,
And it's I know
It's
I've seen it occasionally, and it's like, and again, like I say, I couldn't tell you where I saw this, so I'm not, it's not anyone out in particular, but with regards to the band, something about like, oh, never cut your hair. It's like, I can understand that's meant to be a positive comment. That's what I'm saying. Oh yeah, your hair's really nice, long. But I'm pretty sure that actually women, girls, they get that all the time, and it's it's basically saying, don't be the way you want to be in a certain way. That's how it can be interpreted. I
yeah.
like you to have long hair, so you should have long hair. And it's like, well, no, they're long hair. Say, oh yeah, your hair looks really nice, but don't say, "Is never cut your hair, always have it long," because it's like, well,
It's
it's
like
their hair. They can
there's
do what they like with it.
That's exactly like my belief is it's your body, it's your being. Do whatever.
Yeah.
It's your if you want a tattoo, get a tattoo. It's your body. It shouldn't offend anyone what you
No,
do with your body. If you wear, a t-shirt and you're showing a bit more skin than usual, it's your body. If you have long hair and you want to cut it short and dye it, it's your body. No one should be able to tell anyone else what to do with their
no,
hair, with their fashion, whatever.
because again, that's the
And
kind of stuff that messes with people's heads. If
yeah, and like again, I'm not a woman. I can't put myself in the shoes of one, but it's like
I
it's
heard you,
degrading
I
for a
heard you
man to
tried.
tell a woman what you say.
Sorry. Yeah, no, you're right. And yeah, it's
Oh, we're gonna
this.
just gloss over that, okay?
No, I'll back that up. But no, there is, and again, there's some fairly outdated attitudes that women should dress for the approval of men, and
Yeah,
that does
just to
still
be able to
pervade a
love
bit.
yourself,
Yeah,
just for how you want to be.
and you
I
do
don't
hear it,
care
don't
what
you?
others say. Be you. You know. Um, it's like I said, it's like it's degrading for a man to tell a woman, "This is how I want you to dress." It's like,
Yeah,
who cares how you want them to dress?
yeah,
Let them dress how they want to dress. I'm pretty sure we said when Ally cut her hair shorter, there were probably some negative comments like, "Why'd you
yeah.
do that? You have perfect hair." It's her hair. She
She
can
was
do what
she was
she
annoyed by
likes
it.
with it. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's for her comfort. You know,
I well, I
comfort
remember.
comes before what it looks like to begin with, and it looks good on her.
I remember a
To
while
what she
ago
wants.
on one of the lives, on his Instagram live, and it was Danny. I think someone asked her if she'd ever thought about having short hair. It was a Spanish question, so obviously I don't understand Spanish. She kind of like sort of flicked her hair around and sort of like put it up like a sort of almost like it looked like sort of like a K-pop kind of quiff going down there. Like
Mhm.
it looked fire. It looked really good. It's like that actually really suits her. I wasn't expecting that. But yeah, that girls should have long hair and dress girly. It's like,
Yeah.
well, girls can
If
dress how they
Pal
want.
if Pal turns up one day with a pixie cut, then good on her. She did what she wanted to do,
Yeah,
It's not us to judge. It doesn't change how they are as people. It doesn't change their talent.
absolutely. That's the thing. I think a lot of time when people do say things like that, it is generally meant to place. No,
Yeah, it's
they're
meant to
trying to
be
say
in a
something
nice
nice.
way. It's just
Absolutely.
worded terribly.
But I think certainly as as a bloke, there can be a lack of awareness about how those kind of comments can actually affect a woman or especially a young
Yeah,
woman.
again, especially their ages.
Yeah,
And
because
I
it
think the
is
term's white knighting. I don't know. I don't want to be like the guys like, oh, I'm gonna defend them because I don't know what they're thinking.
no,
Again, I can't put myself in their mindset. I don't know what other people think. But all I'm saying is, as someone who's around their age, already it's tolling, and like I don't want to make it like really dark, but like, look at people who've been compared to gods in the past. Kurt Cobain.
Yeah.
Being compared to a god who ruined his life. And I'm not saying that we're ruining their lives by
No.
saying these things, but you're setting unachievable expectations on people.
And
You
I think
know,
it's important to just be mindful of the way you phrase things at times and the kind of things people say. Because
yeah, and
those kind of comments, I know they do affect people, and especially if for a young age, lots of comments about your appearance. In fact, you know what? Actually, I remember this when Ali came back from her wisdom teeth surgery, and I remember I saw a comment on something. It's like something about, "Oh, you've lost a lot of weight." It's like, don't talk about stuff like that. That's how people get eating
she's
disorders.
16.
Yeah,
She's 16. Why
that
in the hell are you
commenting on that. Yeah. So yeah, don't
no
talk about stuff like that.
she she again, there is no perfect body type. Whatever body type you are, that's fine. It's your body. Ali wasn't, you know, Ali was never overweight, Ali was never underweight, Ali was just Ali.
Yeah.
That's what matters.
But I remember
As
seeing
long as
that.
she's healthy, that's what matters.
Yeah. But when I saw that, I was like, what's the thought process that goes through someone's head to make a comment like that?
Again, I'm sure it's complimentary. I'm sure they mean it. Sure they mean well, but you're not doing well by meaning
No,
well.
it's those things. Well, those kind certainly, especially comments about weight and stuff like that. Then
Yeah,
they're
it's
not
taboo
positive.
subject.
They're potentially very harmful.
Like put it this way, you lost a lot of weight implies that it's supposed to be complimentary. But what
Mm,
it
yeah,
also implies is you thought they were overweight
yeah,
before. That's what that implies, whether you mean it or not. And Ali wasn't. And, why are you going to comment? She's 16. It's an age where I remember it's when you are most self conscious of your
yeah.
body. Your,
I mean,
your
certainly
body,
as well.
first of all, you're going through changes. You're still teenager, you're developing into an adult. And the last thing you need is people over the internet commenting on your weight.
But I do think that kind of stuff it's like I say, I understand absolutely that it comes, from a good
It
place.
comes
Normally,
from a
people are
good
trying to
place,
be
but
nice,
that doesn't mean that
but
it's doing well.
no, but sometimes you should maybe just have a little think about, especially if it's an online comment, because it's not like it's off the cuff. You've got time to think about it before you type it. You can always take another minute or so to think, actually, you know what? Is this something I should
Always
be
think
saying,
before you speak.
or is this actually something that's maybe potentially full or negative? Again, I'm not
Mhm.
saying communities should be an echo chamber because that's equally dangerous. But at the same time, there is always that old saying that my mother used to say, which is like, if you don't have something nice to say, don't say anything at all. And sometimes discretion is the best tactic in those situations.
Mhm. Um, what's it called? Another thing I want to kind of get into that involves the band, and it kind of involves mental health, but thing is, how some people, now again, I'm not calling people out,
I think I know exactly
but
where you're
how
going with this
some
because I was thinking
people,
of this as well.
so it's a minority. I'm not saying that everyone does this. Uh, Greta Van Fleet is a band some
I
people
knew
watch
this
a
is
lot
exactly
of
where you were
memes.
going. I knew it.
We've talked
Wavelength.
about this a lot.
Yeah, we have.
Um, and I am not here to say, you know, I don't listen to Greta Van Fleet. I want to give them at least a chance. I've just not had the
Yeah,
time to. But I want to listen to their new album. I want to give them a shot. So this is coming from a person who is not a Greta Van Fleet fan. Um, I see a lot of people taking pop shots at Greta Van Fleet.
yeah.
Oh,
The
they're getting all
comparisons.
this attention. They're not the warning. The warning are better. First of all, music is subjective. No artist is better than another artist because there are just as many fans of that artist who
Yeah.
think they're better than the warning. Music is subjective. That's just how it is, you know.
Definitely.
Um, and you know what good does the warning get out of you trying to pull down Greta Van Fleet to make
Yeah.
them better? You can
It's
say the warning are great without comparing
Yeah.
them to Greta Van Fleet or Liliac.
it's not a
And
competition.
it's not, you know,
And
everyone in the music industry is making albums. Do they all want to be the best? Sure. But, you know, at the end of the day, you also want to make friends.
yeah,
You want to
but
enjoy
I
yourself. You don't
think
want to be miserable.
yeah, the pops at Greta Van Fleet irk me the most. I use the word irk very
Because they're
often.
the most common. Well, now they're the most common because of the laws
Well,
of
not
things.
so much that, but it's because they're label mates. So like
Oh,
they're on
yeah.
the
I
same
was
label.
about to
So
get into
yeah, so
that. Like,
I'm
I
imagining
know.
that they probably cringe at any if there's comments on Patreon or on social media saying, oh yeah, Greta Van Fleet sucks. The warning are way better. I've probably not seen that
Yeah.
exact comment, but there's been stuff like that, and it's like
There's
I'm sure
stuff
they
that
don't want to read that kind of
implies
stuff.
that.
Yeah, that's just going to make
And,
them
like,
cringe. I'll be like,
another thing is, like, another thing's like, you know, I'm not, I know some people aren't exactly pleased with lava right now because it's been 24 hours ish since the teaser
hmm,
dropped and the Panther not doing enough. I'm the type of person to say give them time. Don't just
yeah,
immediately jump down their throat demanding this and this and this and this and this. They're newly signed. I know everyone's like, oh, the warning don't have to prove themselves. To
they
you, they
do.
don't have to prove themselves
They kind of do. Yeah,
because you've seen them for 6 years or whatever.
yeah,
The label's not seen them for 6 years. The world hasn't seen them for 6 years. They're proving themselves to the world, not just to you. And, you
and
know, it takes
trust in the
time.
process.
It's the first teaser for the first single off of new album that we barely know anything about.
Yeah,
Give it time. You know, because people are taking pop shots at Lava and Greta Van Fleet. It's the equivalent in my mind of someone being hired at a place to work and a friend goes to see them at their job. And while visiting them at the job, your friend is trash talking your
yeah,
coworkers and the
exactly.
company you work for.
It's
That's
not a
what
great
it's the
look.
equivalent of. You know, you're, I know
I
you mean well. I know you're concerned for the warning, and I get it. We all are. We all want them to succeed. They deserve all the success in the world. But stepping on toes and dragging down people that they are working with isn't gonna do anything. But it's either gonna do
and
nothing or it's gonna hurt. It's gonna do
yeah,
one. It's
and
not gonna
again,
help.
we've seen it with other bands as well. Obviously, like you mentioned Liliac before. I know that I guess because of the sibling thing, they get compared to them a lot. And again, sometimes a lot of
Yeah.
the warning's better, the
Again.
Liliac are better, and it doesn't do anyone any favors. I think this is something that's very, very symptomatic of that communities, especially. It seems to be rife with certain fandoms, and it's this obsession with dragging other things down to prove how much you like something. Like, you don't need to
Yeah,
do that.
that's close to all things. You know, there were Queen fans who dragged down Led Zeppelin to make Queen look better, or there were Rolling Stone fans who dragged down the Beatles to make the Beatles, make the Rolling Stones look better, and vice versa. You
There
know,
are,
I'm sure there are Yak fans who dragged down the Warning to make Yak look
yeah,
better.
but there's
We're
there's
doing the same
people
thing.
on YouTube whose entire YouTube sort of career of dragging stuff down they don't like, whether that's music or whether that's movies, whether it's like whether they hate the new Star Wars movies or whether it's new Doctor Who or whether it's a
Mhm.
band, like I don't know about you. Me personally, I'm sure they're doing well out of it. They're probably making lots of decent YouTube revenue. I couldn't cope with so much of my life revolving around negative energy like that. I'd find that so
I
draining.
I'd be miserable.
Yeah,
Um, and like there was some. It's like if you're gonna take the one and compare them to Liliac respectfully, you can have a preference. You can
yeah,
again. This comes from someone that doesn't listen to Liliac. You can prefer the warning over Liliac without dragging Liliac down to make the warning look better.
Yeah, exactly.
Again, there are just as many Liliac fans as there are warning fans.
Yeah,
Maybe
it's
not
like,
just as many, but you get my point. There are
maybe
Liliac
more.
fans
I don't
who
know.
like Liliac more. I'm
It-
not up to date with Liliac, so I'm not sure whether that.
But yeah,
you know,
it's one of those things, whether or not somebody else likes something you like or doesn't like it, matter. That doesn't affect your enjoyment of it. And if it does, then you need to reevaluate because it's going to be miserable all the time.
yeah, like if you feel the need to poke holes in other people to make something you like better,
Yeah.
because at that point you're basically just going, oh, like my thing is better than your thing. It's like, in my opinion, it's childish to basically go, oh well, you can like more than one band, you can support more than one band.
And
You
again,
don't need to trash other
Yeah.
bands and labels and artists to make your band look good. Making your band look good means making the fan base of that band look good too. And the fan base doesn't look good if you become a fan base
yeah,
known for tarnishing other artists and bands because they're not the band that is your favorite.
yeah. And actually, I suppose as well, thinking about it, that does tie in a little bit with occasionally with some of the reaction videos that have gotten out where maybe the reactor hasn't been particularly positive, and then comments jump down their throat, and then they just
Oh,
don't come.
I'm just gonna say now, and I don't mean to be super offensive with this comment. If you watch a reactor react to the warning and they're not a fan of their music, but they're respectful about it, but they're just not a fan, if you read a negative comment on their thing, that is just simply toxic. It's
It is. It's not,
disgusting.
and especially,
Not everyone's gonna love them.
yeah,
Their music taste isn't invalid.
yeah,
They don't have bad taste in music. Someone can be the biggest fan of rap and hip hop and absolutely not have a taste for rock music.
yeah.
That's okay. Their musical opinion is just as valid as yours. You're not special because you like rock music. You're
And
not
again,
better because you like rock music.
yeah, and that plays into my sort of thing. Okay, the reactor didn't like them. How does that doesn't affect your love for the band or your enjoyment from the band? And there's no point having to go at them for not liking the music because
Mhm.
that's their taste is their taste. If they didn't like it, they didn't like it. That's a shame. I think it's a shame, but I'm not gonna hold it against them.
Why are you crying over spilled milk?
Yeah.
And again,
If
if they're
some, I mean,
respectful of it,
yeah. I mean, if if
they
a
can like it.
if a reactor, if there was like a really negative video where someone properly tore into them, unreasonable, say, fair enough, that you probably deserved it if you got a bit of a backlash. But most, I don't think I've ever seen one like that where I felt that they were really, unfair.
I can't
And
remember
toxic.
any. There's like a billion of them now,
Well,
so
yeah.
I can't remember.
But
But like,
I always remember, I've talked about him before, that Dave does reactions, and he was a bit cold on the band at first, and he got still slagged off a fair bit. And I thought, hey, he's not said anything bad. He's not been really effusive. He's not gushed over them. He's a bit indifferent, but he's not said anything bad. But you can't really have a go at him for that. It's unfair to do that. And he did actually warm
yeah,
up to the band the more he listened to them.
and it's important to realize shoving the band down people's throat isn't helping them at all because you're just making it miserable for people to listen to them.
It can't.
I
Yeah, I
don't care how
think
good music is. If you force it down someone's throat, one of two things happens. You set an expectation again that is so incredibly high that it can't be met, or you just make them in such a bitter mood when they listen to this because you forced it upon them so often that no matter how good it is, it'll hinder their listening
Yeah.
along to it
And that is
because
a difficult one.
you forced it.
That is a difficult one because it's hard to try and temper sometimes. Sometimes it's difficult to temper your enthusiasm. And I absolutely get that. So, but yeah, it's trying to find the balance. It's like, for example, I don't spam the band on my personal social media channels. I know that the majority of the people I'm friends with don't want to see that. So, I'll do the odd thing.
Yeah.
It's a case of, well, yeah, I'll pick and choose my moments, because otherwise people just get bored of me.
Get bored of me. But
I'm gonna stop
yeah,
there because my doorbell's going like mad.
I can hear.
Yeah, I mean,
But
I think we probably pretty much we wanted to, haven't we? Before I
yeah,
was so rudely interrupted by
we
the
did our
doorbell.
best to support the girls, talk
Yeah.
about mental health, and probably pissed off a third of the fan base while doing it.
Maybe. But I think it's
Hopefully
important
not.
to be able to. I think it's important to be able to have those sort of conversations. Certainly the fan base skews older, so it should be fairly mature and mature enough to be able to actually say, well, hang on, sometimes, maybe you shouldn't, to call out not bad behavior, but misguided behavior, maybe, and
Yeah.
when people maybe say things that they've just not considered the potential impact of them. Don't think there's anything wrong in that. I think
Everything
those
should
kind
be
of
open for
conversations.
discussion and friendly debate.
Yeah, I think those kind of conversations are ultimately what makes make the community better in the long run. And I
Yeah.
think, and
It's
I
something.
don't think there's anything wrong with members of the community and the fan base making comments, in the big, again, for like me, I'm 40 something, and and so it's not even if I've forgotten what it was like to be a teenage girl. I was never a teenage girl. Yeah, I don't have those experiences. So I
Neither do
am
I. I don't know
maybe,
why you're mentioning that.
yeah, I'm just saying, so it's not wrong to maybe not understand
Oh,
the effect
yeah.
that sort of certain comments or opinions could have. Important thing is
If
to learn.
if things never get discussed, things never get solved. So,
No, exactly.
everything's open for interpretation and debate.
Yeah, and and ultimately having those conversations is what makes everything better for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, Choke's out, and we're just excited to find out what happens next.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, and what a single, absolutely phenomenal. Great song, great production, stonking video to go with it. Everything that we were hoping for and more, I would say.
No, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I don't think there's much more to say on this one, because it is what it is. Very excited by it.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
And appreciate it if you stuck around for the mental health, the second half of the mental health discussion that we had as well with Mikey this time. I know it's a bit of a weird one with it being a bit disjointed, but
Yeah,
it's what it is. Mikey's in America, I'm not, so we record things as and when we can. But,
indeed we do.
But like Derek said there, got any thoughts on Choke? In the comments, let us know what you think of it. And otherwise, stream it, share it, tell your friends, tell your family.
Yes.
Put the word out.
Put the word out. Let your friends and family hear it.
Fantastic.
And let's get it
pushed up those
to the
charts.
top of the charts, yeah.
Yeah. So hopefully we'll do next time we record one of these, Choke will be riding high, and we can pat ourselves on the back at having done a good job.
Exactly.
So we will see you on the next one.
Indeed we shall.